In this video, I'll demonstrate how you can use the messages tool in Alteryx to create meaningful messages for the end user. I'm going to use an input here, which is the text input. I quickly created this, and I'm going to use the message tool with kind of the following business requirement. And that's we want to check if two input files are correct, or if they have the same layout, which means they have the same column headers. So in my example, I have this text input tool, and I'm going to duplicate this one, and I'm going to paste this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use another tool in here. It's the field info tool. It's in the developer section. So if I go to the developers and go to field info, the field info tool tells us well, it gives us information about the columns we have in our data set. So if I'm going to bring in one and another one, if I then run this workflow, I can see that I have in each of the field info tools, I have a name, and the name lists out all of the columns in my data set, the type, the size, and if they had a description as well. So what I want to do is in here, I want to say, if I'm using the labels, I'm going to say, this is a new input, and this is kind of our desired input, which means this is a base file you always want to use. So let me use the labels, the annotation as well. So desired input, and then we have this one. The top one is the file of the user input. So we want to check if these are matching. So we can do that by using the join tool now. So if I go to my favorites and bring in the join tool, and I'm going to join on the name. So I'm going to join the name of the column with the other one. So if I run this, we can see that it joins the name, and then on the other side we have the right name. So we have city, and we have country here, and state. So far this workflow seems to have the same column headers. But what if, for example, the input file now changes? So if someone gets a new file and it has an extra column in it, so the extra column is, let's call it region, and it doesn't contain any data. But what happens now is that if you run it and you build out a whole workflow based off your desired input, is that your workflow is going to break. And that's only one reason, and that's because the input file is different. Because if you go back to the join, you can see it joins those three fields, city, country, state. But also in the left, we now have region. So what this does is that region will also be processed, and you will get annoying error messages. And you can actually modify these messages by using the message tool. And the message tool is part of the developers. So if we go into the developers, you can see we have a message tool. So if we click on it, we can see what it's going to do. So here you can customize some messages, and that will be outputted to the message window. So here at the bottom. So let me bring in a message tool and connect it up to the left. Because what I want to do is I want to customize this, and I want to say if any rows of data are coming into this tool, then give me an error message or give me maybe a warning. So what I can do is if I specify this, I can say, if I go to, say, the message variables, I can say the record number. If that's more than 0, so record number is more than 0, which means that there are actually values coming into this tool which we don't want. So if I'm going to click OK, and then we need to specify what we want to do when this happens. So we can say the message type. What I want to do is I want to error out the whole workflow. So I want to say error, and it automatically gets the highest priority. So if you use, for example, a warning, you can set the priority. Or if you use a message, you can set the priority by it. But for an error, you always have the highest priority. Then I'm going to customize this. And here you can tell Alteryx what expression needs to come back if this happens. So we can say, and this is a string, so we need to say error, you have more columns than the desired input. And then close it off. You can fully modify this. As you can see, you have a calculation window. You can also potentially list out the columns that are extra, but for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to demonstrate how you can create meaningful error messages. So now, if I run this, you can see it gave an error message, and at the bottom, it also indicates what happens. So error, you have more columns than desired input. And here it says message 6. But let's modify that as well, because we don't want to say message 6, but we want to say, we go to this one, we're going to say file input check. That means that if I run it again and get an error message, we can now also, if I spell check correctly, you can now see that this particular error message came from this message tool. This is very useful if you, for example, deploy your analytic apps or workflows on your Alteryx gallery, because then the end user who can upload a file can then see what is going wrong. Because now you can then potentially email this to the user, or even output a log file where you can see the exact error messages. So if I go back to say this new input file and I remove region, I'm going to say delete column. If I now run it again, you can see 0 values are being pushed into this error message tool. So the record number is actually 0. So this is not true. My expression is not true, so it doesn't show me this error message. So hopefully this was useful, and I'll catch you in the next one.